Right. Hello and welcome back to Tom Q's Tech Tips. I'm in a Zoom meeting. I've just paid my $100 to Zoom, my $99, because I want Zoom Production Studio. Now, if it was as simple as this, where I go up to the view menu and switch from my normal speaker and gallery view to Zoom Production Studio, here's what it looks like. And I've got some nice scenes that I have made, painstakingly made. If it was that simple, if when I paid my $99, I automatically got the Zoom Production Studio, I would be a very happy person and I would not be making this video. So in here, there's some nice videos on this whole thing. I'd recommend the one that the Zoom team did themselves on office hours, but I can just drag, click on a scene, and I can drag speakers into the scenes and send them live, which it starts at 11 p.m. I need to start the webinar. So let's pull this down, start my webinar, click, get this started, and go back to my Zoom Production Studio. What I did was I actually dragged my regular Zoom meeting up to another monitor, which you can actually see happening in the middle tile there. And I will actually send, let's click on one of those and send that live so you can see it a little bit better. So I have my regular Zoom meeting up on the top tile. I have my Zoom Production Studio down on my main laptop screen, and then I have my YouTube event, my YouTube live stream over on the left, along with panelists, participants. The reason I purchased Zoom Sessions, which is $99 additional to your regular Zoom One license, is a group of friends and we do a weekly kind of a podcast live stream on YouTube where we're just having a weekly discussion about our favorite topics. And a group invited us to do a conference on the things that we talk about. So I wanted it to be a little more special than our normal things. And I had seen the office hours presentation on Zoom Production Studio. And I was like, I would like to do that. So I paid Zoom the $99, and I actually had waited. I was hoping to optimize the month and get as many sessions out of, besides the conference, I wanted to have as many sessions as possible. So I waited till the last possible moment to activate my Zoom Sessions license, thinking that, you know, I'm a fairly tech savvy person, take me 30 minutes tops to get in there and get that thing working. Well, that was a very wrong assessment. So gave up on getting it set up in 30 minutes, had our tech meeting, got our audio and things worked out to where we do just getting the Zoom session working in their auditorium. And as soon as that tech meeting was over, I dug in and started working on it. It was a very frustrating 3 to 4 hours, but I got it going. And that's why this video is here, is because it was a frustrating 3 to 4 hours. And now it has been a frustrating 5 sessions, about an hour each, where I've been trying to streamline that process and running into caveats and roadblocks and differences of approaches with every single one of them. So, take 6 of Welcome to Zoom Production Studio. You've decided that you want to do this, and it is, I will tell you this, we did 7 sessions in our conference. It is now passed. It was for the most part, especially the actual live production, it was a very smooth experience. There are a lot of bumps in the road. The invitations to the speakers was a bump. The getting them into the webinar was a bump in the road. They had this thing called backstage, and a lot of my speakers are not very tech savvy. They some of them never actually got themselves from backstage into the webinar on their own. I had to do it every time. And somehow, even though I have had no attendees, some of my speakers actually ended up in the attendees section. So I'm going to show you how to avoid backstage, hopefully. I'm going to delete everything about my setup so that you can, we're just going to click a thing here and just throw up a couple more options. Once you've got it set up, it is so easy to switch from one scene to another. Oh, that's interesting, having two of me. Let's remove me on this, remove, take another one, put it in there. Once it's set up and you're using it, as long as you've created the proper amount of scenes, I really had a wonderful time with this. So anyway, what I'm going to do is get out of we'll actually bring my meeting down. I'm going to switch from, I'm going to switch to gallery, and if you do this and if you leave the production studio, it's going to blow away all the custom, let me cancel this for a second, any pre-putting in of figures here, and I'm going to drag this. I don't know what's going on there. I think it's because I clicked the same link to join from each camera, so it thinks that it was me even for every one of them. But anyway, when you take a blank setup and you start dragging people into it, the Zoom Production Studio remembers who you put where. So with each session, I began, as people would show, as the speakers or panelists would show up, I would drag them into the places where I thought was going to work the best. If you leave the production studio and switch to gallery or speaker view, it's going to forget those things and you'll have to re-put them in. It's just not a terrible deal, but it just letting you know that happens. So we're going to leave the production studio, close and stop. I still have my meeting. I can still go to gallery view. I can still go to the speaker view. But what I'm going to do right now is end my webinar for everyone. And we are going to, let's just get out of Zoom altogether. Zoom, quit Zoom. And I'm going to pull up my browser and I am going to delete my hub. How to delete your hub. So what in the world is a hub? Well, it turns out the hub is something you're going to need to have recurring, basically a template with all of your scenes in it. So if you're in here, if you're joining this Zoom sessions thing to have Zoom Production Studio, and you don't want to create from scratch all the scenes every single time you create an event, you're going to want to create a hub. So I'm going to go ahead and delete my hub, which I've done this a few times already. So we're going to access the hub setting page, which I'm going to open in a new tab. And I don't think this actually takes me to the hub setting page. So we're sign into Zoom events. In the left, click the drop down. All right, so we're going to, this turns out is going to be a very important place, this Zoom events place. We're going to go ahead and open that in a new tab. And this Zoom events, which is events.zoom.us, is not something that you can access from your normal Zoom settings. Let me just talk about this since I'm here on this page. Normal pricing for the Zoom Pro plan is $15.99 a month, or cheaper if you pay on a yearly basis. What you're going to need to get Zoom Production Studio is you're going to have to upgrade to Sessions, which is not the difference between $15.99 and $99. You have to have a $15.99 plan, and this adds $99 to it. So I added this to my plan. I added it to my account, and once I did that, I got what we're about to see. So I'm going to click on this, click the hub, click the configuration, I believe, click settings, and I'm going to come and delete my hub, which is going to take away all the saved things, all the templates I have, all the scenes that I've created is going to go away with this click. So this is not something you're going to want to do on a normal basis. I'm doing this for your sake and for my sake in the future when I sign up for Zoom sessions again, assuming there's not some better way to get Zoom Production Studio between now and then. So we're going to delete the hub. There's upcoming events in there. Are you sure you want to do this? Yes, I do. Okay, so this is the screen that you'll see as soon as you purchase the Zoom Sessions license. Now, there are options. If I go back to my Zoom account, there is an option to create a webinar, and inside the webinar, after you create it, there is a place to get to the Zoom Production Studio that does not involve creating a hub. But if you go this route in March of 2024, from my experience, there is no way to save all the scenes that you create. So in order to get the right amount, the correct number of scenes, which I would recommend at least 20, it takes a little bit of time to set them up properly. So to have a scenario where you create all of these scenes and then you can't save them from one webinar to the next is not a desirable option. So I would recommend not doing this route. Also, another surprising thing, and what turned out to me to be a very frustrating thing, is that you cannot get to the Zoom events page from your Zoom account page. At least I couldn't find it. I don't see it over here on the left. If it's here, I don't know where it is. So when I was in my 3 to 4 hours of initial frustration, I ended up finally making myself a bookmark to the Zoom events page, which I'm pretty sure is going to take me to this thing because I haven't set a hub yet. That's the first step. All right, this page right here, I just want to point something out right here. Let's start with creating a hub for each license. I did not read this. I clicked on Get Started, and I wasted 30 minutes to an hour trying to create a separate hub for my event, my conference, and for my tech channel. Wanted to have separate things. And it turns out that you need a different license for each hub. So I would have had to pay two $99 fees in order to have two hubs. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's get started. I'm going to name this hub Tom Q's Tech Tips. And I'm going to create my hub. Yay! Tom Q's Tech Tips hub has been created. And I'm going to click Next. So I don't have any webinars or meetings to create from, although you could do that. I'm just going to create an event from scratch. So go ahead and click that. And I will say this, I haven't tried the marketing showcase or the internal company event, but I have created the blank event or duplicate an event or create a template. It's a different experience depending on which of those two you do. Would require a completely different video depending on which one you do. I'm going to just create a blank event. And just for my own sanity, there is this new light option, which is supposedly a more simple way of getting going. Every time I've chosen the light option, I've had difficulty inviting a list of speakers, a list of participants. So I'm not going to recommend the light option. Zoom, if there is a way to choose the light option and upload a CSV of the attendees, or not the attendees, of the participants, that would be welcome, because the lighter the better as far as Zoom Production Studio. I really just want a meeting with Zoom Production Studio. And I would probably pay $15, $20, $30 more a month for the ability to have a meeting where I start a meeting, I can invite people in the meeting, and they come into my meeting, and I can switch over to Zoom Production Studio. I would pay a monthly fee for that, to where they get a normal email that I sent to and carbon copied multiple people, not where Zoom sends out an individual email to each person, just a normal Zoom invitation, and they click the link and they join the meeting, and I switch into Zoom Production Studio as the cameraman. The $99 is going to be fine for special conferences, but the whole getting my non-techie speakers into the event and getting them used to this was a nightmare. And so anyway, I recommend choosing full. I recommend not doing a recurring session. Even if you want recurring sessions, we're going to duplicate events to do that instead. And so I'm going to call this Welcome to Zoom Production. I'm tempted to say Purgatory. Production Studio. We're going to start this at midnight, maybe 11:30 if that's an option. Actually, no, I guess that's the earliest option. Duration 1 hour. That's fine. I'm going to change this to my image instead of their image. It's going to be a virtual event. It's going to be a webinar. My understanding, boy, I'm so tempted to try this out. Tell you what, let's just try a meeting. I don't think it's going to let us use Zoom Production Studio, but I'm going to go ahead and try it. Click Save and Continue. We'll do another one if we have to. Okay, we're going to invite speakers. Upload CSV file. I've got a CSV that I've created. There was a template file that you could download there, and I'm going to go back to my events. That says I've got no events, but I have a draft now. So we're going to click the little edit button. I'm going to go see in content session. No branding. Okay. That's why you can't click a meeting. I'm missing a component right here. If I choose webinar and save, I now get an in-session branding option. Zoom. I'm not sure what the obstacles are, but I would love, love, love to have in-session branding in a meeting. Anyway, we're going to webinar, have to choose webinar, and I'm going to save this. Now I can go to in-session branding and open the production studio. I'm also going to click this right here, upload some wallpaper, new image. We're going to search for tiger on this Mac. I like this little piece of wallpaper right here. I'm going to do that. Save it. Choose it. Click done. And now I'm going to open Production Studio. So this is where you're going to want to spend some time, at least once. I ended up tweaking this over various conferences. So there are 57 different options. I don't know why my conference wallpaper didn't pull into here automatically, but it didn't. So I'm going to click done. Choose my wallpaper and click done. I'm going to add a little bit. I think I want a border. So I'm going to add a border style. And we'll choose that color. I'd really like a lighter gray. Click OK, and we'll click Save. Now, rather than click Add Scene, which is going to start me with a blank thing again, I'm going to duplicate this particular scene. And I probably should be naming them. This is one up, and maybe we'll call this Active Speaker. Because there is an option to use this and assign speakers to a particular tile. I'm going to make this one. When you choose a one-up tile, you will have the option of the active speaker that works just like it does in a Zoom meeting when you have speakers set up. So I'm going to click Save on that, and we'll click this one. We'll not assign a speaker to this one, and I could just call this one up. You can spend time on naming these or not. From now on, I'm not going to spend time, but I'm going to go ahead and start duplicate. I'm going to duplicate, and then we will come over to all just video tiles. I'm going to choose a 2-up, and we will do like a one-on-one, 1-to-1. That looks good. I might choose the maximum amount of spacing. We'll try a different, yeah, you know what? I think the 1-to-1 looks good, and we will save that. I have found that in my conferences that it was sometimes helpful to have multiple versions of a scene. And the reason for that is you can preload certain people into the different scenes so that when you choose it, it will already have those people in it, even though you didn't choose to pre-assign them to a tile. So I chose to make multiple scenes of the same exact scene. I'm going to duplicate that. I liked some of the ones that had a prominent speaker, and we'll choose something like that. Save that. I'm going to duplicate that, and then you're going to want to create some various things. Actually, I definitely want a 9-up, so we're going to scroll over to that. The beauty of this is it's going to fault like if you choose, and I'm going to choose 16:9 on that. Oops, I should have, let's save that. I didn't save my second duplicate of this one, so I need to save. Even if you only have 4 speakers, if you choose a 9-up, then you'll have the option of falling back to 4. So it will take this and automatically fill the screen and so forth. But if you choose a 4, it's not going to automatically let you go to 9. So anyway, that does work. There's some great fallback here. I really could have chosen a one with 3 on the side and it would have fallen back to 2. So let me just go over and do that instead. We'll go to this one right here, and we'll click Save on that. I'm going to do one of them with my with Tom Q's Tech Tips. And what did I just do? I'm about to ruin that one. So let's duplicate that. Let's save it. And I should have another tile somewhere. Oh, here it is. All right, so we're going to change this to media. I'm going to choose the Tom Q's Tech Tips logo. So this will be like an introduction. Let's save that. You can drag these around. You can actually drag them around in the actual webinar. I did cause Zoom to crash when I accidentally dragged one of these out of the window. So I was able to get back in without losing the meeting, but it did cause some havoc. So, and then you're going to want to create several layouts for shared content. So let's duplicate one of these again and throw in a few shared content things. So like a full screen or one with your background. And then let me just make another one, and I'll show you something that I like, that I found handy, and that was to have, let's do more space. I'm going to get some separation there. Maybe go a little bigger on that. I'm going to save that. Didn't pull my border over, so we're going to go get a border and get that light gray. Click OK. And whoops, let's save that. All right, so I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to put also the speaker on the left-hand side. And the reason I'm doing this is because if your Zoom speaker is at all experienced, he's probably the one that's going to be sharing content. He's probably going to want to have a second screen, which means he might be looking off to one side or the other. And so what I like to have happen is have the speaker's video, since I don't think flipping the video is an option, I like to have it on the side to where he's looking at his content. So let's just move this over as much as possible. All right, so I have created a bunch of scenes here. I really would want more than this, but actually one of them. Let's just take me off the screen for a sec. And I'm going to create another shared content with like 2 people. And maybe the one-to-ones, and we'll save that. And then we're going to do one. I think I lost my, anyway, do one with them on the other side. So save that. And I think I lost this one, so we'll duplicate that again. And put that speaker on the other side. All right, so you're going to want to make as many of these as possible. I recommend, because you cannot do this. You cannot do this after the fact. So once you're, and I'm not sure why that is. So but anyway, you can't. So you're going to want to create as many of these as possible. And the nice thing about this is after I go back to my session and publish my event, or even if I don't publish my event, if I go back to my events, I have this in drafts now. I can click the 3 dots over here and I can duplicate my event. I can create a template out of my event. These 2 things, unlike the webinars option inside the normal Zoom things, where if you schedule a webinar and build your scenes in Zoom Production Studio in March of 2024, and then you save your template or duplicate your webinar, my experience is that you're not going to get the scenes in the Production Studio duplicated in that webinar. So that's why we went to the trouble of creating a hub and creating an event, so that we can get these templates which you have to give them titles, you have to give them a description, even if it's a period or something. You want all the things to be duplicated, and you're going to create the template. So that is, next time we go to create an event, we have a template that has all of our things, and choose the template. So we're just going to call this my second event, and this is going to be tomorrow. All right, we're just going to call this this in the middle of the morning, save and continue. And I should have everything, including my wallpaper, including my title. When I go back to my events, go to my drafts, none of them are live yet. There's my second event. When I click on the little edit menu and come over to event content, 1 click, 2nd click session, 3rd click in session branding, 4th click open Production Studio. Boom. All of my saved scenes are in my second event. So you definitely want to create a template after you've spent a lot of time. You might want to update your template, not by, I don't think you can update a template, but you can create a second template and maybe delete your first template if you find you're missing some scenes that you need. I think I've forgotten something here. So let's go back to got my hub, I've got my draft, I've got my production welcome to Zoom Production Studio. Somewhere in here, event experience, meeting and webinar. Now here's a detail that I need to talk about. So in my conference, I had HD quality set up. Enable HD video for attendees will allow both you and your attendees to view video in higher resolution. However, the actual result will depend on the bandwidth. I had high definition set on the first 2 or 3 of the events in the conference, and had lots of complaints from the presenters of glitchiness. So use at your own risk. The other thing I want to talk about is backstage. This is under event experience, meeting and webinar. I did not know it was an option to disable the backstage. So I had a backstage for all 7 of my events. My low-tech presenters, some of them never figured it out. I would call it a disaster. I had one presenter we had featured presenters for every night, but then we had the rest of the presenters available for Q&A. 5 minutes before going live on YouTube and going live on Facebook, when I'm clicking all kinds of buttons, copying in codes and getting things going, he's like emailing me for instructions on how to get in. It's like, what do I do? It's like, Zoom just sent you an email. Click agree and join. Well, I can't find the email. So it's not like I got to send out an email to all the guys and they all get the same email. And then when you click agree and join, it took you to a place called Backstage, which you then had to figure out how to get from Backstage into webinar. So I'm going to recommend all my future ones. And I guess since I just duplicated an event, it duplicated the setting as well. I'm going to recommend turning off Backstage unless, it's kind of a cool feature, but for me, I will never use it again if I remember to turn this off. So I'm going to click Save with Backstage off. So I'm ready to publish this event. Let me go down to speakers. I have 2 speakers. So as soon as I publish this event, and I could upload a CSV with more speakers, but as soon as I publish the event, everyone in this is going to get a Zoom generated email. I would have loved it if there was an option to resend the email inside the speaker section for the guy who's calling me 5 minutes before the event. My only option was to either send an email to his wife and call it his name, or delete the speaker and then add a speaker, which is what I tried both things. So anyway, I would love just a little button that says resend email. That would have been nice. Let's just close that and go back to my events. I should have an event now that's ready to go. And this should be showing up in my regular Zoom experience. So I can click join right here, or since I'm the host, I can just open Zoom and there should be an upcoming event or 2. Hello? I was expecting to see it right here. I guess I'm going to have to click join or check my email, because there should be an email that has invited me to it. So we're going to click this. I'm going to go ahead and start practice. When I had the backstage button checked, it said start backstage. So when I click start practice, I'm going to allow. It's going to open my Zoom. There's we're going to join with audio, because you can't send anything live if you don't have your audio live. and I'm gonna join with another thing or two here. So it says no upcoming meetings. I don't know. Oh, okay. So I refreshed the screen on the phone and it's now showing my event. I don't really want to start the event. I just want to go into it. Meeting details, view event. No. I really just want to join it. I guess it's going to have to start it. And all right, I don't want audio on this one. I'm going to stay the co-host, and I'm going to flip the camera around and let this be a different view. Whoops, just lost my microphone there. All right, so we've got three participants. Got my view menu, and I've got my production studio, and I think that's where we started this guy. So I could talk about some other things. One of the things I used in this was the ability. I sent one of the participants a webcam, the OBSBot PTZ cameras. Zoom has a thing. I have a separate video on it called remote camera control. So this viewer, this one right here has a camera I can control. So I'm going to request it and approve to do that. And when you do this, I can then zoom in with this, and I can also pan and tilt. This is not even a pan and tilt webcam, but since I'm zoomed in enough, so I can't go left or right when it's not zoomed in, unlike a real PTZ, but I can actually zoom in and then I can pan and tilt. I found, so let's go ahead and go back to my gallery, and I'm going to view Production Studio. I'm going to take this one off the screen and stretch this out. It says it's off the air, and I can send this live. Tom Hughes. Why can't I do this? Send this live. Webinar starts at 12. I think, let's go pull this back down. I can go ahead and start before the scheduled time. Let's get this started and take this back off to the upper screen. So we're going to call this done. This is the most smooth the whole experience has gone. I'm going to send this live. I'm going to say, thank you for tuning in to Tom Hughes Tech Tips. Love Zoom Production Studio. Hate getting there. See you next time. Leave your comments below. Have a good night.